The old saying, behind every great man is a great woman, is used sporadically, but is very true, except leading women of the 21st century don't stand behind, they stand beside, holding the hands of their distinguished gentlemen, building empires and leaving lasting legacies of power and, of course, impacting change. I would know. I consider myself immensely blessed to have women of substance in my life, beginning, of course, with my mother and then, of course, my leading lady herself, my amazing wife. My observation is that no man gets to be great in a vacuum, and some woman somewhere had a hand in a man's success. Today, I am honored for the very first time to be joined by three of the Virgin Islands' leading women on this very special episode of The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, featuring the Women That Love Us, International Women's Day Special Edition. They are Mrs. Jolis Fraser, Executive Chef to the Governor of the Virgin Islands and CEO of Gold Plates Cuisine, and the one and only Miss Fantastically Fabulous herself, Mrs. Keshia Davis Barnes, Director of Culinary Hospitality Studies at the H. Lively Stout Community College and CEO of After You Tourism Innovation. Dr. Allision Flax-Archer-Secretary General to the Commission for UNESCO in the BVI, and she is also a musical director at her very own music studio. Ladies and gentlemen, I take a pause from the regular season to speak to three women of substance who have been making bold moves and a difference. They have stood the test of time, continue to break barriers, and lead both personally and professionally. I am honored once again to be sharing my set with a few of the women that love us. I guarantee you, you don't want to miss this one. Ladies, cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
We'll be right back.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this ain't like you,
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out that trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit, I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I hustle. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hooked, I tell you.
Viewers, welcome back. You are watching The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, featuring the Women That Love Us International Women's Day Special Edition. Ladies, each of you, as mentioned, are continuously breaking barriers. And when I say breaking barriers, you're leading both personally and professionally. All misses with the title behind you. That means you are a wife, a mother, you're somebody's daughter or aunt, a niece, and still, when you add that to everything, you put woman in front of it. First of all, welcome to the set. You are the first woman to grace the Art of a Distinguished Gentleman set, and it's a pleasure to have you, and happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have to ask you, and I want to begin because you all wear so many hats, each of you. Where do you get the time? Where do you find the balance? How do you incorporate all that you do and still come out winning? I'll start with you, Mrs. Barnes.
Thank you, Ron. For me, it's about prioritizing and organizing. You know, like you said, there's so many different things going on, but we have to first understand what's important for me. And with that, I really take the time out to ensure that I always make sure that my family is okay first, and then I prioritize everything else from there. So it's about prioritizing and organizing for me, because if I'm unorganized, everything seems to go wrong, you know, so organizing and prioritizing is how I do it.
Okay.
I think I can say a little, I could agree with Keshia in terms of prioritizing. It's not as easy, but at the end of the day, it has to get done. I put family first, as always. I try to make time for my family, and then everything else comes afterwards. As you know, I own my own personal business as well, which sometimes could take away from family time because I work. So I try to do makeup family days.
Nice.
Yeah, we try to always ensure that if it's not movie night, go to the beach. So I try to fit in everything, even church, especially church.
Good.
So that's one of my family days as well.
Nice.
So I try to fit in everything just to ensure that family always comes first. I put them at the helm. I put them on the top.
And Mrs. Archer?
Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you for having me, Ron. I am delighted to be here. So I often would hear persons talk about, we need more hours in a day. We need 25, 26. I just need 2 more hours. But then you would, in that same vein, you would hear persons saying, I could do a 4-week, I can work for 4 days in a week as opposed to 5, just extend the hours. Now, we don't need more hours in a day. And yes, we could work for 4 days as opposed to 5, but it all has to do with that time management. As the lady said before, the other lady said before, time management is extremely critical. One of the things that I tend to do with my time management is I just map out what I need to do for the next day. And that's something that I do before I settle at night.
Okay.
It's really important, especially if you're a family person, as the lady said, that you put family first, because family is always there to support you. Without their support, it's difficult to progress and move forward. So I believe that with time management, you can make things happen and you can have that good work-life balance. You can create that for yourself.
So I'm hearing from each of you that you put family first. Who or when do you get put first?
That is an excellent question. Am I answering that one first?
You got the mic.
So who or when puts us first? Well, the thing is, I don't actually think about being first. I just know that there are tasks, there are chores, there are things that I have to do, and I just do it. So even on Mother's Day, I never sit. I'm not ever sitting, because I'm always trying to make sure that everyone around me is taken care of, and that's important for me as a mother, a wife, a daughter. That's important to me, taking care of everyone else.
Jolece, who puts you first? Or when do you get put first?
I'll be honest, I would say my husband puts me first.
That's my guy, and that's why he's a distinguished gentleman.
He does. He honestly does. Like Allision spoke about Mother's Day, and those are days that he hoped that he's like, you're not going to cook today. We're going to go out for lunch today. And I'm like, I can cook. He's like, no, you're not cooking today. So he tries to put me first all the time. He tries to make life easier for me. So I'm glad for how supportive he is. But according to Allision, most times I just focus on what has to get done every single day from time you wake up until you go to bed. I think on what I have to do tomorrow, even with my children. My mind is just always going.
And of course, congratulations, because we can see a beautiful bump there.
Thank you very much,
Beautiful.
Ron.
Thank you. When do I put myself first? I am the family and the family is me.
Okay.
So I put the family first and I'm a part of the family. So I ensure that everything that we do, that it is balanced, or I try to balance it out. I love myself, and I understand that I would never be who I am today without my family and my support system, which actually helps me to be fantastically fabulous. And when it comes to, like I said before, the prioritizing, we have a whole system in our house because they think that I'm the bully, but I just like things a certain way. And I love my husband to the point where we've been in a relationship for 28 years.
Beautiful.
And married for 16 years. So we have grown to love each other. And I've always put myself first, and they have put me first as well.
Amazing.
So I don't really have to think about when I'm going to put myself first, because I'm there.
So you guys are you ladies are making the conversation so easy, because my next question was going to be about the leading distinguished gentleman in your lives. Of course, Mrs. Archer, the wife of Deputy Governor of the Virgin Islands, Jolece, the one and only Delani Fraser. Both of your husbands were a guest, and of course, Keshia, your what you call your main man, your guy.
The only man.
And I have seen Gary in action as a parent, coming to the school and really interacting and making sure that things on the ground are the way they should, right? I want to talk about the men in your lives because I feel as though, just like this show, we really push to make sure that we're raising a generation of greatness. We're raising a generation of young men who, like Jolece said, puts her first. Like your husband, really make sure that things are on the ground. Like Mr. Archer, absolutely, I know he is one that when your son has a game, he would go and make sure that he's there, watching him play. Talk to me about the distinguished gentlemen in your life who you stand beside, each of you.
Well, Gary's my one and only. He's been my one and only for a long time. I think 15. Don't tell my mom. And when I saw him, and people always ask me, well, Keshia, how you knew that he was going to be the one? And he might kill me for telling this story, but the first time I saw Gary, he was tending. He had a lot of like sheep and goats and stuff like that, and I was cleaning my mom's windows because when you're growing up, you have to clean them windows on a Saturday. And I looked out and I just saw him, and there was something about his gentle touch. And I lived on the other side of the street from him, so I knew like I would see him with his mom, and I always understood that, from being a family person, growing up with a mom and a dad, that how a man treats his mother is something special about that man. If he has that for his mom, more than likely he has something in him special that he will be able, to be with you and support you. I will tell you, Ron, Gary is the reason why I am who I am today. And I say that with every fabric of me, because if it wasn't for his support and his understanding, I could never do all the things that I do, especially on my journey towards being fantastically fabulous. He supports me, and I listen. And, it's funny because we met in high school, and I have that book sense and he has that street sense. And he would say things to me before that I wouldn't understand, but with time grows greater understanding, and I respect him and I love him very much. Beautiful. And he's my rock.
Nice.
Well, Ron, you already know Mr. Fraser himself.
Yes.
He's very funny. I like to laugh. So that was the first thing that caught me I knew my husband from the time I was in high school, but we never really spoke until I met him a few years back. And the first thing he did was make me laugh. So it went on from then. We've been married almost 6 years now. This year would be 6 years. He's very supportive. A lot of what Keshia said, my husband is very, very supportive. When I wanted to quit my day job to go to school, he didn't even think twice. Just do what makes you happy, because if you're not happy, then, So he was like, okay, we'll figure it out. Just do it. I opened my personal business. There's equipment, there's so much. And he was like, we'll get it. We'll get everything. It's whatever you want, we'll get.
And he's also right there with you serving.
Yes, he doesn't tell me no.
We got to talk about that, Delani.
He doesn't tell me no. He always says yes. So I told him he can't ever say no. And I told him, don't ever tell me no, because you don't say no, I'm already spoiled. That's it. He doesn't say no. He's very supportive. When my mom first met him, it was like he became her son one time. She said she's never really met someone outside of her family that's so nice. She said he's just genuinely nice, and he's genuinely nice, and he's patient.
Wow.
That's what I love about my husband. He doesn't get angry, and he's very patient.
Beautiful.
He needs patience with me. So
gotcha. And that's honest.
Yeah.
So yes, he's very supportive, very loving, and he's an amazing dad.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Ron. And ladies, that's fantastic. Fantastic that you have these wonderful men in your lives. So I have 3 amazingly wonderful men in my life. I'm going to start with my father. My father has exemplified everything that I expected in a husband, expected to see in a husband, and he exemplified everything that I expected my husband to be as a father, the father that he is. So my father is just amazing. Secondly, my husband. My husband is number one, because obviously when you get married, you cleave to your spouse. David is an amazing person. He has actually assisted in making me the woman that I am today. He is very understanding. He listens. There's never a dull moment. It's almost to the point, well, no, I'm not even going to say almost. It's to the point where if he sees me sitting and I just want to be in my space and be a little bit upset and mope, can't do it. I have to actually leave the household in order to be in a corner by myself, because he is just that live wire that's going to be so energetic, so amazing, just encouraging. David is a comedian. He is nothing less than a comedian. He's smart. He's the smartest person that I know, and I say that to the world. He is an amazing person, street smart, as you said, Keshia. He is also extremely intelligent. He is an amazing husband, and he is an amazing father. And then finally, to my son. My son has... Every woman would probably say that, you know, I'm so proud of my children, but I am so proud of our son. Our son is amazing. Our son teaches. He teaches me so many things, and I can just see him not trying to fit into his father's big shoes, but I see him trying to emulate him in so many different ways, and that's as a result of David being the man that he is, not afraid to be firm and be the man and the father that he's supposed to be, but at the same time being happy and jovial within the household in situations that should be really grim. So those are the three men in my life, and I celebrate them. I celebrate them every single day.
Beautiful. I am so happy, Allison, that you took the time to really put into perspective not just your husband, but the other men in your life that really are there for you. I have to ask you, ladies, to speak to the up-and-coming generation of women, young girls. And I want you to share, Keshia, you mentioned a nugget about how you treat your mom. Recognizing a distinguished gentleman. Because, truth be told, I do believe that there are absolutely young men and men on a whole of quality in our Virgin Islands. But women don't always take the time, they don't always have the tools that would allow them to recognize these distinguished gentlemen. They might not be perfect at the beginning. They're going to probably take some work like all of us. But I want you each to speak to recognizing what should they be looking for in a boyfriend and a spouse. How can they recognize a distinguished gentleman?
Okay, so Ron, first I'd like to congratulate you on your third season of The Art of Being a Distinguished Gentleman. I have watched the season, and you have selected some wonderful men. Oftentimes, we tend to focus on the negative. There's a lot of negativity that's taking place right now amongst our young men. We have a number of fatalities with our young men, but we make mistakes. Our young men are going to make mistakes. Women are going to make mistakes. Our young women are going to make mistakes. But at the same time, it's important to be forgiving. Forgiving of those mistakes. They're allowed to start over. So in terms of young women identifying a wonderful spouse, there's not always a father in the household to say, well, you know, that's a good man. Maybe he's a good one to watch because his son might turn out the same way. That's not always the case because we have some very strong and powerful single mothers that are serving both roles. But some of the attributes that I would look for, I would tell them to look for, is on that very first encounter, just see if they have a sister, see how they interact with other young ladies. Are they pushing? Are they yelling? Are they screaming? Oftentimes, I would see my nephew, my sister's son. He has a girlfriend now. He's been dating her for quite a bit, and I've been watching, I've been observing, and I think she's been observing too. And he's the young man that, he will wear a t-shirt, and that's okay. He will wear some of the fad clothing, just like my son. My son's got this high hair now, but that's age appropriate
Yes.
right now. And then this past visit that he came, it was actually summer. He decided, but he asked. No, he didn't decide. He asked first about braids. And I said, oh my goodness, no, it's not happening. But this is the age that the young men are doing it. So I said, fine, you know what, you can do it. He asked his father. He said, if it gets unruly. But that doesn't make him what you think that he's not a thug. That's just how he decides at this age with his parents'
express
permission
himself,
to
yeah.
express himself and to comb his hair. He wears hoodies, but that doesn't define who he is. You have to look at the young man and realize, you know what? He's a good guy. He's opened my door, or he's allowing me to speak. He's not yelling at me. He's giving me the opportunity to express myself. Watch how he interacts with his mother, because the mother is always there. In this generation, the mother is always there. The father isn't always there, but the mother is. Look at how he interacts with his mother and his friends. And I think those are some things that they can see on the onset.
Great ones.
That would help them in selecting someone that they'd like to be with.
What I look for and what advice I have for the young women of today, I would say that I knew what I wanted in a man. I knew exactly how I wanted to be treated. And when I met my husband, it was, I looked for communication, the way he communicates, and then I looked for the way, according to Allision and Keshia, the way he treats his mother. But I also met my husband when he was wearing T-shirts and hat turned backward and the baggy pants. But I like the look, but I also like that he was still a gentleman. Because I like the little gangster look, I like that.
Got you.
So I looked for the way he would treat his mother, and the way every Valentine's Day she would have a gift, every Mother's Day she would have a gift. And even for me too, in the Ollies, he would ensure that I wake up to something, even as my boyfriend. He was always pleasant. He always had manners. He would take me out. I see dating as very important, because that's how you get to know somebody. He would always take me out. We would eat. We would go to the movies. We get to know each other. I ask about commitment, because not everyone wants to be committed. Not everyone wants to have children. Not everyone wants to be married. So I think those questions are very important questions to ask.
Good.
So I think communication is key, and you can't ignore the signs. To the young ladies out there, don't ignore the signs. If others could see it, you could see it.
Some good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jolece. Well, I'm a realist, so I'm going to bring it real. I have a daughter, and the first thing that I say to my daughter, that I always say to the young ladies, is understand yourself first and know your worth. Because when you understand and you know your worth, you don't allow anybody else to dictate it for you. So when you are out there searching for that person, like Jolece said, we see the signs and we ignore the signs. Understand what you want for yourself. There are so many outside noises and people that have opinions, but you're the one that's going to be in the relationship. Understand who you are, what your worth is, and know what you want for yourself. And you shouldn't even be searching for somebody else if you don't have your own self locked down. So lock yourself down first. Know your worth. Know that you matter, so that when you step out to look for somebody, you know exactly what you deserve as a woman.
Absolutely amazing advice. And I do trust that our women, as well as the young men, are really taking into consideration a lot of the attributes that you mentioned. I'm going to have the honor this week two events at the Seventh-day Adventist school annually. They separate the boys and they separate the girls. Last year, I was invited to speak to the young men about presenting themselves as a distinguished gentleman and really talking about that growth pattern. This year, they switched the script on me. They said, we don't want you to talk about to the boys, we want you to talk to the girls, and really speak to them as what they should be looking for. And then later on, right start at the Elmore Stout High School, Dressing for Success. I think these events are important. The conversation is important for us to have with our young people in making sure that they know what to look for, making sure that they have solid examples of not only men but women. I am honored to have had the most amazing examples of not only fatherhood, but a mother. My grandfather was my first example of a distinguished gentleman. And then my dad picked it up and he did not drop the ball at all. And then I look at my mom, quite a strong woman. Persons would look at them, mom and dad, and say they're quite opposite in personalities. But what we fail to realize is that opposites usually tend to not only attract but complement. Where one person might fall short, the other is there. So I just want to thank you guys so much for being leading women in each of your respective roles. We appreciate you as a community. I absolutely think that the sentiments would be agreed from others as well. You're each doing amazing things. And what I want to encourage you each to do is, just like you shared your advice here today, continue to drop those little nuggets. I have to shout kudos to you, Keshia, for making sure that you drop those nuggets, of course, in your brand as Fantastically Fabulous, and dropping those nuggets to make sure that persons get that encouragement that they need. Again, the conversation is all we can do. That's all we can do, have the conversation and hope that others can come and really take away from it. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having us, Ron, and all the best with the show. I really love it. And you know I love you, so yeah.
I love you all too. Before we go, Keshia, since you have the mic, I want you to close, because we are celebrating International Women's Day. As we close, what does being a woman, in a nutshell, mean to you?
Being a woman in a nutshell, to me, is standing in your truth and loving yourself and understanding that you matter. And that, you know, in life things aren't always perfect, but when you pick up the pieces, make sure if you fall forward, you know, and celebrate yourself. Take some time out for you and celebrate yourself and be appreciative, you know. And I want every woman today to know that, you know, we matter, and the men that we stand beside help us to be phenomenal in everything that we do. So today, on World's International Women's Day, I want to just tell each and every one of you, wherever you are today, you know, to take 5 minutes and hug yourself and be proud of yourself, because as women, we matter.
Beautiful, and we absolutely matter. I want to go, before we close, thank Bella Blooms for this beautiful arrangement. I gave them a call and they did not hesitate. Of course, I had to. The ladies are here. I mean, from my attire to the setup, we had to make it special for them. So thank you so much, Bella Blooms. They're located, of course, in Fish Bay. If you need anything, floral arrangements, they are definitely the persons to go to. Viewers, I'm so honored, and I want to thank you so much for your continued support. As Allison mentioned, we just concluded season 3, and The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, I would unequivocally say, I believe, is doing the job that it set out to do, and that is really changing the status quo and creating men of quality throughout the Virgin Islands. This was a special show, of course, The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, featuring the women that love us. There they are. I'm your host, Ron Grant. Do have a beautiful rest of the night. Bye-bye.
Live stream cable TV is here with CCT Live. Access over 80 channels that you can watch either at home or when you're on the go. And don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Rewind and watch in your own time. Come to CCT today and ask about our 1-month free trial offer. CCT Live. Bring it home.